Nipsey Hussle. Nipsey Hussle, born Ermias Joseph Asghedom, was a Grammy-nominated rapper and Crenshaw activist who was shot outside his Marathon clothing store in Los Angeles. The man was building his community, investing in his people, showing cats how to level up legitimately. Eric Ronald Holder Jr. was the prime suspect. In 2022, he was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to 60 years to life for killing Hussle after a personal dispute sparked when Nipsey allegedly called him a snitch. But the streets don't buy that simple explanation. The trial confirmed that Holder acted alone, but conspiracy theories still circulate. Some claim he was a pawn in a larger plot, possibly involving rival Crips factions or jealous community members tied to Nipsey's activism, his planned documentary on Dr. Sebi, or his opposition to gentrification. Real talk, his Crip affiliation and history of surviving prior shootings also fuel speculation about ongoing gang tensions. Many fans believe his death was meant to stop his community projects. He was building schools, investing in tech, showing young brothers a different path. Some cats think pharmaceutical companies targeted him over his promotion of Dr. Sebi's alternative medicine ideas, though this claim has no credible evidence. In 2023, WAC 100 claimed on a podcast that Holder was sent by unnamed figures. Still, the evidence presented in court showed that this was a personal conflict. LAPD found no gang orders, and video footage indicated Holder acted impulsively after feeling disrespected. A 2024 Atlantic article also dismissed the Dr. Sebi conspiracy, calling it unfounded. Nipsey's death represented not just the loss of a talented artist, but also a community leader who was actively working to break cycles of violence and poverty. King Von. King Von was killed after a fight outside an Atlanta nightclub turned deadly when gunfire erupted, involving off-duty police officers working security. The case is still unresolved in court. Timothy Lul Tim Leaks, a Savannah, Georgia native and known affiliate of rapper Quando Rondo, was arrested days after the shooting. Leaks, who had prior ties to street activity, was identified by police as the man who shot Von. He was released on bond in 2021, and as of August 2025, no trial conclusion has been reached. Speculation surged in March 2025 after an interview with OTF affiliate DJ Academics. In a phone call during the show, OTF, Vonnie's father claimed that his son and Lil Durk backdoored Von, luring him to the Monaco Hookah Lounge under the pretense of squashing beef with Quando Rondo, only for Rondo's crew to ambush him. According to this wild theory, Durk allegedly sanctioned the setup to remove Von as a growing influence on O-Block. Social media posts amplify this narrative, claiming Durk felt replaced by Von's popularity. A 2025 YouTube video compiling alleged OTF infighting claims Von's criminal past made him a liability to the group's mainstream ambitions. The leading official explanation is different. Police believe the shooting was an act of gang retaliation. Surveillance footage shows a brawl outside the lounge, after which Leaks pulled a gun and shot Von, reportedly to protect Quando Rondo during the fight. However, no concrete evidence supports the setup claims. They rely on unverified statements from Vonnie's father, who may have personal biases. Lil Durk has consistently honored Von's legacy, releasing posthumous tracks and funding O-Block tributes. Critics dismiss the setup claims as fan fiction that feeds off Chicago gang lore without proof. XXXTentacion. XXXTentacion, born Yaze Dwayne Ricardo Onfroy, was a polarizing Florida rapper known for his raw SoundCloud hits like Look At Me and albums like 17. He was shot multiple times in a robbery outside a Deerfield Beach motorcycle dealership, dying at age 20. In 2023, Michael Boatwright, Dedrick Williams, and Trayvon Newsom were convicted of first-degree murder and robbery with a firearm, receiving life sentences. Despite the convictions, many still believe his killing was more than a robbery. Some argue XXXTentacion's murder was a planned hit orchestrated by industry rivals, with Drake often named due to public feuds. The perspective suggests the robbery was a cover for motives tied to his rapid rise, controversial persona, or disputes with established artists. X's high-profile beefs, including a 2017 Twitter rant accusing Drake of sending goons and confrontations with other artists, fuel speculation. Defense attorneys initially suggested Drake could be tied to the slaying during the murder trial, though Drake was later cleared of any involvement through depositions. Other early suspects included Soulja Kid and Soulja JoJo, who posted cryptic Instagram stories near the crime scene around the time of the murder. Police later confirmed they were not involved. XXXTentacion's controversial past, including domestic violence allegations, created numerous potential enemies and motives beyond simple robbery. However, convictions rested on surveillance footage, witness testimony, and social media evidence showing the suspect's robbery intent, with no link to Drake or industry figures. A 2023 Sun Sentinel report detailed Boatwright's preparation for the robbery, with no credible link to Drake or other industry figures. Tupac Shakur. Tupac Shakur was fatally shot in a drive-by attack in Las Vegas following a Mike Tyson fight, succumbing to his injuries 6 days later at age 25. The case remained unsolved for nearly 3 decades until recent developments, including the 2023 arrest of Dwayne "Keffe D" Davis, who is accused of orchestrating the hit but not firing the shots. Many believe the most substantiated explanation revolves around Orlando Baby Lane Anderson and Crips retaliation. This narrative suggests that Southside Crips member Orlando Anderson fired the fatal shots from a white Cadillac as revenge for a brutal altercation earlier that night at the MGM Grand, where Tupac and Suge Knight's entourage assaulted Anderson over a prior robbery of a death row chain. Anderson, who was in Las Vegas for the fight, allegedly acted with accomplices, including his uncle Dwayne "Keffe D" Davis, who has confessed to being in the car and providing the gun. Davis's arrest in September 2023 revived this narrative, with prosecutors citing his memoir, Compton Street Legend, and taped confessions where he explicitly details the MGM fight as the trigger and names Anderson as the shooter. However, Anderson was murdered in a 1998 gang shootout before charges could be filed, leaving no direct testimony from him. Another controversial perspective involves Sean "Puffy" Combs' orchestration. This alleges that Sean Combs offered the Southside Crips $1 million to eliminate Tupac and Suge Knight amid the heated East-West rap feud. Critics argue this was motivated by business jealousy and territorial disputes between record labels, while Combs has denied involvement since 1996, calling accusations pure fiction. Conspiracy theorists continue pointing to Davis's repeated mentions of Combs in court filings as evidence of deeper industry connections to the murder. The Notorious Big was fatally shot in a drive-by attack in Los Angeles after leaving a party at the Peterson Automotive Museum. The 24-year-old rapper was in a GMC Suburban when a dark Chevrolet Impala pulled alongside and fired multiple shots from a 9mm handgun, hitting him 4 times. The case remains officially unsolved nearly 3 decades later, with no arrests made. The prominent Suge Knight retaliation explanation alleges that Death Row Records CEO Marion Suge Knight orchestrated Biggie's murder as direct revenge for Tupac Shakur's killing, which Knight blamed on East Coast rivals, including Biggie and Bad Boy Records. Many argue that Knight hired M-Mob Peru Bloods gang member Wardell Poochie Faust through an intermediary, Teresa Swan, paying $13,000 for the hit. Former LAPD detective Greg Kading's investigation draws from confidential informant interviews, including Swan's detailed testimony under immunity, describing how Knight selected Faust after the Tupac murder and used gang ties for execution. The shooting's precision, targeting only Biggie despite multiple occupants, suggests professional execution rather than random violence. However, Swan's credibility is heavily questioned due to her criminal history and immunity deal, with critics dismissing her as unreliable. Faust was killed in 2003, preventing testimony, and no forensic evidence links the alleged weapon to him. An alternative perspective claims rogue LAPD officers, including David Mack and Amir Muhammad, conspired with Suge Knight to murder Biggie, using their positions as death row security to execute the hit. Yet this narrative was dismissed in court, with Biggie's family's wrongful death lawsuit against the city being thrown out in 2010 for insufficient evidence. Jam Master Jay, born Jason Mizell and the pioneering DJ of Run DMC, was fatally shot execution style in his 24/7 recording studio in Jamaica, Queens, New York at age 37. An assailant entered through a back door, fired a .40 caliber bullet into his head while he played video games and fled, leaving witnesses traumatized but initially silent due to fear. In August 2020, authorities charged Ronald Teenard Washington and Carl Little D. Jordan Jr. with murder while engaged in narcotics trafficking. Their trial concluded in February 2024 with guilty verdicts on all counts, facing 20 years to life. The prosecution's drug deal gone wrong narrative argues that Mizell, facing IRS debts and reduced music income, moonlighted as a cocaine middleman, acquiring 10 kilograms worth nearly $200,000 from a Midwest supplier for resale in Baltimore. When the dealer refused to include Washington due to his unreliability, Mizell excluded him and Jordan, prompting revenge. The 2024 trial featured 35 witnesses, including Uriel Tony Rincon, identifying Jordan as the shooter, and Washington as the door guard. Lydia High corroborated, noting Washington's command to lie down during the execution. Some believe an alternative explanation involves music industry blacklist retaliation. This suggests Mizell was targeted for mentoring 50 Cent, defying a blacklist imposed by drug lord Kenneth Supreme McGriff after 50 Cent's song exposed McGriff's criminal history. However, no charges resulted from McGriff investigations regarding Mizell's death, and 2024 convictions solidly attributed to the drug dispute. Eazy-E, Eazy-E, born Eric Lynn Wright, and the pioneering founder of Ruthless Records and NWA, died at age 30 from AIDS-related pneumonia at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles. Hospitalized on February 24, 1995, with a severe cough initially thought to be asthma or pneumonia, he was diagnosed with advanced HIV/AIDS shortly after. He publicly announced it on March 16th via a statement, admitting a promiscuous lifestyle and urging fans to learn about the disease's realities. One of the most popular conspiracy explanations claims Eazy-E was deliberately infected with HIV/AIDS by rivals, most notably Death Row Records CEO Suge Knight, amid tensions over Dr. Dre's departure from Ruthless. Supporters of this idea suggest methods like injection with tainted blood during a 1995 medical visit for a quad bike injury or sabotage through HIV-laced acupuncture. Eazy-E's son, Marquise Young Eazy Wright, publicly accused Knight in a 2015 Instagram post, claiming his death never added up and noting Eazy's health worsened post-incident. Daughter E.B. Wright launched 2016 Kickstarter campaigns for a documentary probing rumors and conspiracy ideas, insisting on unrevealed facts and foul play. Ruthless co-founder Jerry Heller expressed suspicions in interviews and his memoir, questioning how Eazy died so quickly despite resources comparable to Magic Johnson, stating something fishy happened. Bone Thugs and Harmony members fueled speculation. Lazy Bone suggested injection during a hospital visit, while Busy Bone claimed Eazy confided being given the disease. However, medical experts debunk rapid decline as impossible from fresh injection, explaining that HIV infection from a fresh injection wouldn't cause death in a matter of weeks. The virus typically takes years to develop into AIDS. Records and autopsy findings show Eazy-E likely contracted HIV in the early 1990s through unprotected sex, with no forensic evidence of foul play. Pop Smoke. Pop Smoke, born Bashar Baraka Jackson, was a Brooklyn drill star killed at 20 during a home invasion in a Hollywood Hills rental. By 2023, 4 suspects had pleaded guilty, with prosecutors framing the incident as a robbery aimed at stealing Pop's Rolex and chain. The case raised important questions about social media safety for celebrities. A popular alternative perspective suggests the robbery was just a cover for a targeted hit. Supporters of this idea point to Pop Smoke's Crip affiliations, possible industry jealousy, and the attack's precision. The masked intruders went straight for him after his location was revealed on social media, raising doubts that it was a simple crime of opportunity. His Brooklyn gang ties and feuds with LA rappers fuel speculation about whether this was territorially motivated. Pop Smoke's rapid rise in the drill scene had made him enemies, and his affiliation with certain Crip sets in Brooklyn may have translated to conflicts when he traveled to Los Angeles. In interviews, figures like 50 Cent have hinted at industry setups that target rising stars before they can fully break into mainstream success. The fact that he was specifically targeted despite multiple people being in the house raises questions about whether this was truly random. His girlfriend had posted their location on Instagram, which provided the opportunity, but some argue the execution was too professional for teenage robbers. The attack occurred in a high-end neighborhood where such crimes are rare. However, convictions confirmed robbery motives via confessions and phone data. No evidence links to a coordinated hit. Investigators found that juveniles tracked his location through Instagram posts and planned the robbery based on his displayed wealth. A 2024 Billboard report detailed one juvenile's admission that they were after valuables, not carrying out a planned assassination. Soulja Slim. He was one of New Orleans' most promising bounce rappers, signed to Master P's No Limit Records, and just getting his career back on track after a stint in prison. Soulja Slim, born James Adderall Tapp Jr., was shot 4 times, 3 in the face and once in the chest, outside his in-laws' home in Gentilly, New Orleans, just before a planned Thanksgiving show. He was 26. Many believe that his death was a contract hit ordered by Queens drug kingpin Kenneth Supreme McGriff, leader of the Supreme Team Gang, and later linked to Murder Inc. Records. The idea claims Slim owed McGriff money from cocaine deals gone bad during his No Limit days. McGriff's 2007 conviction for murder for hire and 2 unrelated killings bolstered this narrative as federal prosecutors highlighted his control over rap labels and use of gangs for enforcement. Garrell Smith, a 23-year-old hired gun, was initially suspected as the shooter but was murdered in 2004 before charges, leaving the case cold. A 2023 YouTube documentary details McGriff's downfall, with interviewees claiming he silenced debts in the music world, implicitly linking to Slim. Slim's brother, Corey C. Murder Miller, hinted in a 2024 prison interview that Out-of-Town Connects were behind the hit. However, no direct evidence links McGriff to Slim's murder. His convictions were for New York killings, not Slim's. NOPD dismissed interstate angles early, focusing on local robberies, and McGriff denied rap-related violence in post-release interviews. Critics call it convenient scapegoating, and Slim's family emphasized random violence in 2024 statements. McDre, born Andre Lewis Hicks, was a Bay Area hyphy pioneer with Thiz Entertainment, blending humor and street tales in albums like Ronald Reagan. He was shot in a drive-by on Interstate 29 in Kansas City after a performance, dying from wounds to his chest and neck at age 34. The attack from a stolen van left his driver unharmed, and no arrests have been made despite 20 years of investigation. One popular explanation claims it was a rival gang hit, tied to lingering tensions from Dre's days with Vallejo's Romper Room gang, his 1990s bank robbery conviction, and turf rivalries around the hyphy scene. Promoter Damon Whitmill was rumored to have set him up after a payment dispute, allegedly hiring locals with Bloods or Crips ties. Detective Pete Babcock's 2021 revelations detail rumors of Whitmill's involvement, with 1,300 pages of files showing Dre's gang history and post-show threats. A 2023 YouTube interview with journalist Donald Morrison claimed shooters Fat Tone and Jermaine Atkins were hired for revenge, linking to Dre's Vallejo feuds. Commentaries argue Hi-Fi's party image masked violence, with Dre's Thiz dance rivaling East Coast styles. Popular narratives include McMinister's 2006 conviction for Fat Tone's murder as retaliation for Dre, per court documents. The Kansas City location, far from Dre's Bay Area base, suggests either a setup or unfortunate timing in unfamiliar territory. However, authorities cleared Fat Tone and no gang links were proven. Babcock noted rumors lacked evidence. A 2023 KQED report debunks prison lyrics as cause, and 2024 analyses favor random violence over setup. The case remains one of hip-hop's most perplexing unsolved murders, highlighting the dangers artists face when performing in unfamiliar territories. Stack Bundles. Stack Bundles, born Raekwon Elliott, was an emerging Far Rockaway rapper affiliated with Bird Gang and Jim Jones. He was shot in the head and neck in his apartment lobby at age 24, amid Queens' high crime era. The case is unsolved, with no arrests, sparking debates in 2024 to 2025 YouTube documentaries and podcasts revisiting NYC rap violence. The most common perspective is a robbery gone wrong, suggesting his flashy lifestyle and expensive jewelry made him a target. Supporters of this explanation point to missing jewelry from the crime scene and Far Rockaway's crime statistics, noting that at least 9 other rap murders have been tied to robberies. Stack Bundles was known for his aggressive delivery and street credibility, which helped him gain traction in New York's competitive rap scene. His affiliation with Jim Jones and the Diplomats brought him increased visibility, but also potentially dangerous attention from rivals and street elements. The rapper's jewelry collection and expensive lifestyle made him an attractive target for robbers in one of Queens' most violent neighborhoods. Other narratives pushed beyond robbery. In a 2024 interview, Max B hinted at Harlem jealousy as a motive, while social media speculation in 2025 focused on envy from locals who resented his success. Some analysts, including a 2019 YouTube breakdown, argue the murder was a targeted hit tied to personal disputes rather than random crime. The investigation was later connected to other rapper killings in the area, suggesting a pattern of violence targeting up-and-coming artists. His connection to established artists like Jim Jones brought attention to the case, but even that association couldn't generate the leads needed for justice. Young Dolph. He was one of Memphis's most successful independent rappers, building a loyal following through his Paper Route Empire label and refusing to bow to major label offers. Young Dolph, born Adolph Robert Thornton Jr., was shot and killed at age 36 inside Makeda's Cookies, a local bakery he often visited. The brazen daylight attack stunned the city. Justin Johnson and Cornelius Smith Jr. are currently on trial for his murder, while a third suspect, Hernandez Govin, faces charges of organizing the hit. The leading perspective points to Memphis gang rivalries, particularly Dolph's long-running feud with Yo Gotti's CMG crew and other rivals tied to gangs like the Gangster Disciples. The tension had been brewing for years, fueled by territorial disputes, business competition, and Dolph's refusal to align with industry power players. He had already survived previous shootings, and his beef with Gotti was an open secret in Memphis. A 2024 YouTube documentary and social media posts cite Govin's ties to CMG affiliates. The circumstances added to the suspicion. The killers struck at a place Dolph was known to frequent, suggesting they knew his routine. And the fact they did it in a busy public area hinted at either desperation or the confidence they could get away with it. After his death, Memphis saw a spike in gang-related violence, with many believing his murder was part of a wider street war. Still, prosecutors have not tied Yo Gotti or CMG directly to the crime. Johnson reportedly admitted acting for money rather than gang orders, and the trials so far have centered on personal motives and financial gain. With court proceedings still ongoing as of August 2025, the full truth behind the killing of Young Dolph and whether it was a targeted gang hit or something more personal remains to be seen. Takeoff. born Kershnik Karibal, was a member of the chart-topping Atlanta group Migos. Known as the quietest and most level-headed of the trio, he was rarely linked to public feuds or controversy, which made his death at age 28 all the more shocking. On the night of the shooting, Takeoff was attending a private party at a Houston bowling alley. Outside, an argument broke out during a dice game. Takeoff wasn't gambling, but when tensions escalated between Quavo and Patrick Xavier Clark, a Houston man later charged with his murder, gunfire erupted. The chaotic scene involved multiple armed individuals, turning a night of celebration into tragedy. Clark's trial is still pending as of August 2025. The most common perspective is a dice game dispute, but others believe in a setup involving Houston gang figures. This explanation argues that Takeoff's presence at the event, along with known gang members, was no coincidence, and that he may have been deliberately targeted. Fans note his calm persona and lack of beef, suggesting that if he was hit, it wasn't random. Multiple people were armed at the scene, suggesting an environment where violence was always a possibility. Some social media speculation even ties the incident to Atlanta rivalries that may have reached Houston. However, official evidence points to a spontaneous escalation rather than a planned hit. Surveillance footage and witness statements show an argument boiling over in seconds. Houston Chronicle reports emphasize the confusion of the moment, a loud, crowded scene where multiple shooters may have fired in panic. To many, the tragedy stands as a grim reminder that even those far from street disputes can be pulled into violence when weapons are present. PNB Rock. PNB Rock, born Rakim Hashim Allen, was a Philadelphia rapper killed at 30 during a robbery at Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles in Los Angeles. Freddie Lee Trone and his son were convicted in 2024 for murder and robbery, with Trone sentenced to 31 years to life. The prosecution successfully argued this was a targeted robbery based on social media intelligence. Many believe the industry hit perspective, which claims the robbery was just a cover for a planned attack by gang or industry rivals, and that his girlfriend's Instagram post revealing their location was just a little too convenient. The timing of the social media post and LA's gang activity fueled speculation about whether this was opportunistic or deliberately planned. PNB Rock's girlfriend had posted their location on Instagram shortly before the attack, which investigators determined provided the opportunity for robbery. Never-before-seen footage shows the moment of the attack, revealing the calculated nature of the crime. Some commentaries suggest the attack was too sophisticated for a simple robbery, pointing to the perpetrator's knowledge of the rapper's value and routine. The restaurant location in South LA, known for celebrity sightings, may have made it a hunting ground for opportunistic criminals monitoring social media for potential targets. However, convictions confirmed robbery motives for jewelry and cash. No industry links were found during extensive investigation. Court documents detail Trone's planning based on the Instagram post opportunity, showing classic opportunistic crime rather than premeditated industry violence. Foolio. He was one of Jacksonville's most controversial drill rappers, known for raw street storytelling and diss tracks that named his rivals outright. Foolio, born Charles Jones II, was gunned down at age 26 in a Tampa hotel parking lot while celebrating his birthday. 4 suspects have been arrested, and police described the killing as a targeted, gang-related attack. The case is still unfolding as of August 2025. The dominant perspective points to an ambush by rivals from Jacksonville gangs like KTA or ATK, tied to Foolio's long-running feud with Youngeen Ace. Foolio was notorious for his provocative lyrics that often referenced deceased rivals by name, potentially making him a target for retaliation. His murder represents the deadly consequences of rap beef in Florida's increasingly violent drill scene. He had survived multiple shootings before, and Tampa police quickly flagged gang ties as a likely motive. Recent investigations have linked his death to a broader gang war that has claimed multiple lives, including a 7-year-old child. The fact that he was killed while celebrating his birthday in Tampa, far from Jacksonville, suggests his enemies were tracking his movements and waiting for an opportunity. However, no arrests have definitively confirmed a gang hit versus opportunistic violence, though the ongoing investigation suggests organized planning. Tampa Bay Times reporting leans toward random violence rather than coordinated gang assassination. The ongoing investigation and multiple arrests may reveal whether this was calculated revenge or tragic circumstances involving a controversial figure. Chino XL. Chino XL, born Derek Keith Barbosa, was a lyrical West Coast rapper found dead at age 50 in his California home. The San Bernardino coroner ruled it as suicide by hanging after what they believed to be a thorough investigation. His family would also confirm the suicide ruling and urged mental health awareness in public statements, but some fans believe the murder disguised outside perspective, suggesting his death was staged by industry or personal enemies. They point to his long-running Tupac feud in the mid-1990s and his recent return to music as possible motives. Supporters of this idea note that he showed no public signs of mental health struggles and had been actively promoting new projects, interacting with fans online, and making upbeat public appearances in the weeks before his death. Chino XL had built a reputation as one of hip-hop's most skilled lyricists, capable of delivering intricate rhyme schemes that impressed even his harshest critics. His sudden death shocked the entire hip-hop community. Following extensive investigations, the coroner report and family statements definitively confirmed with no foul play evidence found. Medical examiners found no injuries or signs of a struggle, and a 2024 Billboard tribute dismissed conspiracy claims as speculation without evidence. Fat Pat, born Patrick Lamarck Hawkins, was a Houston rapper with Screwed Up Click, shot at 27 in his apartment complex over a suspected promoter dispute. The case remains unsolved, with his brother Big Hawk claiming a promoter owed Pat money for shows, leading to a targeted killing. The murder occurred during Houston's emergence as a major hip-hop market, when business disputes often escalated to violence. Many believe the promoter dispute perspective, which suggests that Fat Pat's murder stemmed from a business disagreement that escalated to deadly violence. Houston's rap scene in the 1990s was notoriously dangerous, with financial disputes often resolved through street justice rather than legal channels. The Screwed Up Click, associated with DJ Screw's influential Chopped and Screwed sound, operated in an environment where business was conducted outside traditional industry frameworks. Fat Pat was gaining regional recognition for his smooth flow and authentic street credibility when his life was tragically cut short. His death represented a significant loss to Houston's burgeoning hip-hop scene, which was just beginning to gain national attention through artists like Scarface and the Ghetto Boys. The rapper had been working on projects that could have elevated his career beyond regional success. Big Hawk's 2006 interviews consistently cite promoter tensions as the primary motive, describing unpaid performance fees and escalating threats. The Screwed Up Click's association with Houston's street culture meant that business disputes carried higher stakes than typical industry disagreements. Social media posts in 2025 reference Houston's cutthroat promotional scene during that era. However, no arrests or concrete evidence confirm the promoter angle. Robbery remains equally likely given the circumstances. A 2023 Texas Monthly piece leans toward random violence rather than targeted business killing. That brings us to the end of this video. For more interesting videos like this, click on the cards on your screen.